Approximately 2.38 billion people practice some form of Christianity globally. This means that about one-third of the world's total population is Christian. This is about 22.4% of the world's population, and the religion is primarily practiced in Europe, the Americas, Oceania, and Sub-Saharan Africa. But what if Christianity, the world's biggest religion, is stopped from practicing in some countries? Although many people may not know about it, there are some countries in the world where it is very difficult to live as a Christian. We will also tell you what problem a country can face with such a peaceful religion. So in today's video we are going to show you top 10 countries where Christians not allowed in 2024. But before starting the video, I want to request you, we put our best efforts to create our every single video. So please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let's start. Number 10. Sudan. Sudan is both an African and Arab country, with Arabic being the most widely spoken language. Over 97% of the population are Sunni Muslims with a small Christian minority. Sudan is growing at a quick rate of 2.42% per year. This rate adds over 1 million people to the population every year. Christians in Sudan have faced numerous challenges, particularly in the context of religious freedom and societal discrimination. Sudan has a history of religious tension, primarily between the Muslim majority and the Christian minority, especially in the context of the long-standing conflict between the northern and southern regions. Christians in Sudan have often been subjected to persecution, including arrests, church closures, and harassment by both government authorities and societal groups. Under previous regimes, apostasy or converting from Islam to Christianity was punishable by death, which further marginalized Christians. Christians have historically faced discrimination in various aspects of life, including employment, education, and legal rights. They often encounter difficulties in practicing their faith openly, and there have been cases where church properties were confiscated or destroyed. The legal system in Sudan has been heavily influenced by Islamic law, which has posed challenges for Christians in terms of family law, freedom of worship, and other civil rights. Although the transitional government that took power in 2019 made some strides toward religious freedom by repealing the apostasy law and allowing for greater religious expression, challenges persist. Despite these challenges, there have been some improvements in recent years. The Sudanese government has taken steps to improve religious freedom, including removing Sudan from the U.S. The overall situation for Christians in Sudan is one of cautious hope amid ongoing challenges, as the country continues to navigate its path toward greater religious tolerance and civil rights. Number 9. Libya. The country is known for its culture and history and contains some of the world's most well-preserved ruins from ancient civilizations. Libya has two major climate systems. In the south, the climate is hot and dry, characteristic of Sahara Desert. However, in the north, the Mediterranean Sea creates a milder climate. According to the 2020 World Religions Database from Boston University, Libya's population is approximately 6.8 million, with about 97% of the population identifying as Muslim. The majority of Muslims in Libya are Sunni. Christians in Libya face significant challenges due to the country's political instability, societal attitudes, and legal restrictions. Libya is a predominantly Muslim country, and the government and society often view Christianity with suspicion. The Libyan legal system is based on Islamic law or Sharia, which severely restricts religious freedom. Conversion from Islam to Christianity is illegal and can be punishable by death. Christians, especially converts from Islam, face significant legal risks. Christians in Libya, particularly those from migrant communities or who have converted from Islam, often face harassment, discrimination, and violence. Extremist groups such as ISIS have targeted Christians in the past, leading to kidnappings, executions, and other acts of violence. Public worship is restricted, and there are very few churches in the country. The few that exist are mostly for foreign workers and are often under strict government surveillance. Christians must practice their faith in secrecy, especially Libyan nationals who have converted from Islam. Christians, especially those from Muslim backgrounds, face intense social pressure from their families and communities to return to Islam. This can result in social ostracism, loss of employment, and even violence. The ongoing conflict and political instability in Libya exacerbate the difficulties faced by Christians. The lack of a stable government and rule of law means that Christians have little protection from persecution or violence. These challenges create a highly hostile environment for Christians in Libya, making it one of the most difficult countries in the world for practicing the Christian faith. Although a lot has changed in Libya in the last few years, journalists and bloggers from many countries have visited Libya in the last few years, and according to them, Libya has now become quite secular. Well, whatever the truth may be, it cannot be hidden from anyone. Number 8. Yemen. The island is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and is known for its rich biodiversity. It is home to a variety of flora and fauna, including frankincense and myrtles and the Arabian ostrich. Yemenis are generally hospitable people who value close relationships with members of their family and community. Although the common people of Yemen may be good, there are some radical groups which target the minorities. As of mid-2022, the U.S. government estimated that over 99% of Yemen's population of 31 million people is Muslim. Christians in Yemen face severe challenges due to the country's strict adherence to Islamic law, ongoing civil conflict, and deeply entrenched societal norms. Let's see the main issues. Yemen's legal system is based on Sharia law, which prohibits conversion from Islam to Christianity. Converting from Islam is punishable by death. This makes it extremely dangerous for Yemeni Muslims to convert to Christianity, and those who do must practice their faith in secret. Christians in Yemen, especially those from Muslim backgrounds, are at high risk of persecution. This includes harassment, physical violence, imprisonment, and even execution. Both government authorities and non-state actors, including extremist groups like Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula and Houthi rebels, have been known to target Christians. In a society where Islam is deeply integrated into daily life, Christians, particularly converts, face immense social pressure to return to Islam. They often face rejection by their families and communities, leading to social isolation, loss of employment, and even forced marriages. There is no official recognition of Christianity in Yemen, and public worship is virtually impossible. The small Christian community, primarily composed of expatriates, must meet in private homes to worship. There are no church buildings, and proselytizing is illegal. The ongoing civil war in Yemen has exacerbated the situation for Christians. The breakdown of law and order has led to increased violence and insecurity. The combination of legal, social, and political challenges makes Yemen one of the most difficult countries for Christians to live and practice their faith. Number 7. Somalia. Sunni Islam is practiced by the vast majority of Somalia's population, the majority of whom are Muslims. In addition, the traditional clothing worn by Somali women is often regarded as among the most unique in Africa. According to the Federal Ministry of Endowments and Religious Affairs of Somalia, more than 99% of the country's population is Sunni Muslim. Somalia's population is estimated to be around 11 million, with many more Somalis living in neighboring countries. The remaining less than 1% of the population includes a small Christian community, Shia Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, Jews, and some animists. However, the Christian community is not officially recognized, and there has been no archbishop in the country since 1989. Christians in Somalia face extreme difficulties due to the country's strict adherence to Islam, deeply ingrained social norms, and the presence of violent extremist groups. Somalia operates under a legal system heavily influenced by Islamic law, which prohibits the conversion from Islam to any other religion. Leaving Islam is punishable by death. Christianity is not officially recognized, and the practice of any religion other than Islam is illegal. Christians, especially those who have converted from Islam, are at grave risk of persecution in Somalia. Extremist groups like Al-Shabaab have specifically targeted Christians, viewing them as enemies of Islam. Christians are subject to harassment, abduction, torture, and execution. Al-Shabaab militants actively hunt for converts, and even being suspected of being a Christian can lead to death. Somali society is overwhelmingly Muslim, and there is intense pressure on individuals to conform to Islamic practices. Christians face social ostracism, discrimination, and severe threats from their own families and communities. Many are forced to practice their faith in complete secrecy to avoid detection. The situation for Christians in Somalia is among the most perilous in the world, with the combination of legal restrictions, social hostility, and the threat of extremist violence making it extremely difficult for Christians to live and practice their faith openly. Number 6. Eritrea. From its cuisine, remarkable geography, and rich heritage to its impressive ancient structures, including over 400 churches and monasteries, there's plenty to learn about Eritrea. And while many people may not be aware of these unique aspects, they're still worth exploring. Estimates of Eritrea's Muslim population vary, but some sources say that between 37% and 52% of the population is Muslim. Other sources estimate that the population is split between 49% Christian and 49% Muslim, or that 47 to 63% of the population is Christian. Christians in Eritrea face significant challenges due to government repression, strict religious regulations, and societal pressure. The Eritrean government imposes severe restrictions on religious practices. While it officially recognizes 4 religious groups, Sunni Islam, the Eritrean Orthodox Church, the Roman Catholic Church, and the Evangelical Lutheran Church, any other Christian denominations are considered illegal. Members of unrecognized churches, such as Pentecostals and Evangelicals, are often arrested, detained without trial, and subjected to harsh treatment, including torture. Christians, particularly those who belong to unregistered denominations, are frequently detained in inhumane conditions, such as shipping containers or underground cells, often without charge or trial. The government views these Christians as a threat to national security or as agents of foreign influence, leading to arbitrary arrests, harassment, and severe mistreatment. Number 5. Iran. Iran is a major regional power due to its large reserves of fossil fuels, including the world's second-largest natural gas supply, third-largest proven oil reserves, its geopolitically significant location, military capabilities, cultural hegemony, regional influence, and role as the world's focal point of Shia Islam. As of 2022, the Iranian government estimates that 99.4% of Iran's population is Muslim, with 90 to 95% identifying as Shia and 5 to 10% identifying as Sunni. Christians in Iran face substantial challenges due to the country's strict Islamic laws, government repression, and societal discrimination. Iran's legal system is based on Islamic law, and the government imposes strict regulations on religious practices. While recognized Christian minorities, such as Armenians and Assyrians, are allowed some degree of religious freedom, they are still heavily monitored and restricted. Converting from Islam to Christianity, however, is illegal and considered apostasy, which can be punishable by death. Christians, particularly converts from Islam and members of house churches, face severe persecution. The Iranian government frequently arrests and imprisons Christians on charges related to their faith, such as acting against national security or propaganda against the state. Those detained often endure harsh interrogations, torture, and lengthy prison sentences. Christians in Iran, especially converts, experience significant social stigma and discrimination. They may be ostracized by their families and communities, leading to social isolation and loss of employment. Converts are often pressured to renounce their faith and return to Islam, and those who refuse may face additional hardships, including difficulty in accessing education and public services. The Iranian government closely monitors Christian activities, particularly those of house churches and evangelical groups. Christian gatherings are often raided by security forces, and participants are arrested. The government also imposes restrictions on the distribution of religious materials, such as Bibles, and on Christian media. Public expression of Christianity is severely limited. The building of new churches is prohibited, and existing churches are under constant surveillance. Proselytizing is illegal, and Christians are forbidden from sharing their faith with Muslims. This forces many Christians, particularly converts, to practice their faith in secret to avoid persecution. In addition to government repression, Christians in Iran face threats from radical Islamic groups that view Christianity as a threat to Islam. These groups sometimes take matters into their own hands, targeting Christians with violence, harassment, and intimidation. The combination of legal restrictions, government persecution, and social discrimination makes Iran a highly challenging environment for Christians. Many Iranian Christians, particularly converts, live in constant fear of arrest, persecution, and violence, leading some to flee the country in search of safety and religious freedom. Number 4. Pakistan. The world's famous pink Himalayan salt is also mined in Pakistan. The highest polo ground in the world is in Chandar, Pakistan. Pakistan is the only Muslim nuclear power country in the world. According to a 2022 report from the USCIRF, 96.3% of Pakistan's population is Muslim, with 85 to 90% Sunni, 10 to 15% Shia, and 0.2% Ahmadi. The remaining 3.65% of the population practices other religions, including Hinduism, Christianity, Sikhism, and other religions. Christians in Pakistan face significant challenges due to legal discrimination, societal hostility, and targeted violence. Pakistan's blasphemy laws are a major source of persecution for Christians. These laws are often used to target religious minorities, including Christians, with false accusations leading to lengthy imprisonments, mob violence, and even death sentences. The mere accusation of blasphemy can result in a Christian being attacked by angry mobs, sometimes resulting in extrajudicial killings. Christians in Pakistan are frequently targeted by extremist groups. Churches and Christian communities have been attacked in bombings and shootings, resulting in numerous deaths and injuries. The threat of violence creates a climate of fear among Christians, limiting their ability to practice their faith openly. Christians in Pakistan often face widespread social discrimination. They are frequently relegated to low-paying jobs and are seen as second-class citizens. In rural areas, Christian communities are often marginalized and face significant barriers in accessing education, healthcare, and other basic services. Christian women and girls are particularly vulnerable to forced conversions and marriages. There are numerous cases where Christian girls have been abducted, forcibly converted to Islam, and married to Muslim men. These cases are rarely prosecuted, and victims often have little legal recourse due to the influence of religious and cultural biases within the legal system. Many Christians in Pakistan live in poverty, and their economic opportunities are limited. They are often forced into menial labor jobs, such as sanitation work, which reinforces social stigmatization. Economic hardship further exacerbates their vulnerability to exploitation and discrimination. Christians in Pakistan face legal discrimination, including limited representation in government and difficulties in obtaining justice through the legal system. The combination of legal discrimination, societal hostility, and targeted violence makes Pakistan a difficult and dangerous place for Christians. Many live in fear for their safety and face significant barriers in practicing their faith and improving their social and economic conditions. Number 3. Afghanistan. Afghanistan is known for making beautiful Oriental rugs. The Afghan carpet has certain prints that make them unique to Afghanistan. Afghanistan is known for its production of Afghan rugs, traditionally handwoven using a number of well-known and highly prized patterns. Apart from all this, Afghanistan is also known for Taliban, which defeated superpowers like America and Russia and drove them out of the country. According to the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, Afghanistan's population is approximately 99.7% Muslim, with the remaining 0.3% being non-Muslim, including Christians. The majority of Muslims in Afghanistan are Sunni, with estimates ranging from 84.7 to 89.7%. Shia Muslims make up the remaining 10 to 15% of the population, including Ismailis and Ahmadis. Christians in Afghanistan face extreme persecution and life-threatening challenges due to the country's strict Islamic laws, social norms, and the presence of extremist groups. Afghanistan operates under Sharia, which considers conversion from Islam to Christianity as apostasy, a crime punishable by death. The Afghan constitution explicitly states that no law can contradict the beliefs and provisions of Islam, leaving no room for religious freedom. Christianity is not officially recognized, and practicing any religion other than Islam is illegal. Christians, especially those who have converted from Islam, face severe persecution. Being discovered as a Christian can lead to arrest, torture, and execution by both government authorities and extremist groups like the Taliban. There are numerous reports of Christians being killed or forced to flee the country to avoid persecution. Afghan society is deeply conservative, and any deviation from Islam is seen as a betrayal. Christians, particularly converts, face intense pressure from their families and communities to renounce their faith. They are often disowned, ostracized, and threatened with violence, leading to social isolation and immense psychological stress. There are no public churches or Christian places of worship in Afghanistan, and Christian gatherings must be conducted in secret. The government strictly monitors any religious activities, and being caught with Christian literature, such as a Bible, can result in severe punishment. This forces Christians to practice their faith in extreme secrecy. The Taliban's return to power in 2021 has intensified the dangers for Christians in Afghanistan. The Taliban's strict interpretation of Sharia law leaves no tolerance for Christians, and they actively seek out those who have converted from Islam. Many Christians have gone into hiding or fled the country, as the Taliban's rule poses a direct threat to their lives. Due to the extreme risks associated with being a Christian in Afghanistan, the Christian community is virtually invisible. There are no official records of Christians, and most converts must keep their faith entirely hidden, even from close family members, to survive. Estimates of the number of Christians in Afghanistan vary, with some sources saying there are as few as 1,000 and others as many as 20,000. The combination of legal restrictions, societal hostility, and the threat of violence from both the government and extremist groups makes Afghanistan one of the most dangerous places in the world for Christians. Number 2. Saudi Arabia. Most of us know Saudi Arabia for its rich oil resource, the origin of Islam and Arabian horses. However, this is also a popular haven for travelers across the world. From diverse and serene landscapes to religious pilgrims, there are so many things Saudi Arabia is famous for. As of 2022, there were an estimated 2.1 million Christians in Saudi Arabia, which is about 6% of the country's population. However, the percentage of Saudi citizens who are Christians is technically zero because the country forbids religious conversion from Islam and can punish it with death. In 2023, Saudi Arabia was ranked as the 20th worst place in the world to be a Christian and received a score of 0 out of 4 for religious freedom. Christians in Saudi Arabia face severe challenges due to the country's strict Islamic laws, lack of religious freedom, and societal pressures. Saudi Arabia is an Islamic theocracy, and the legal system is based on Sharia law. The government does not recognize any religion other than Islam, and practicing Christianity or any other non-Islamic faith is illegal. Public worship, the display of religious symbols, and the distribution of religious materials, such as Bibles, are strictly prohibited. Conversion from Islam to Christianity is considered apostasy, which can be punishable by death. Since public worship is forbidden, Christians in Saudi Arabia, particularly expatriates, are forced to gather in secret house churches. These gatherings are illegal, and if discovered, participants can face arrest, imprisonment, deportation, or even corporal punishment. The risk of being caught creates a climate of fear among Christians, leading many to practice their faith in isolation. Christians in Saudi Arabia, especially those who have converted from Islam, face persecution and harassment. There are no legal protections for religious minorities in Saudi Arabia. The religious police called Mutawa are empowered to enforce Islamic norms and have historically harassed and detained individuals suspected of practicing Christianity. Saudi Arabia hosts a large number of expatriate workers, many of whom are Christians from countries like the Philippines, India, and Ethiopia. While these workers contribute significantly to the country's economy, they often face restrictions on practicing their religion. Many live in fear of being reported to authorities for engaging in Christian activities, which can lead to arrest or deportation. Number 1. North Korea. North Korea is also known as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. North Korea is a totalitarian state that emerged in 1948 after World War II. It is one of the few countries that is still nominally communist and has a history of being isolated from the rest of the world. North Korea is also known for its nuclear ambitions, which have made its isolation even more rigid. According to the UN, North Korea's Christian population is estimated to be between 200,000 and 400,000, which is about 1 to 2% of the country's population. Christians in North Korea face severe persecution, as the government views Christianity as a significant threat to its authority and ideology. North Korea is one of the most hostile countries in the world for Christians. The government considers Christianity a subversive force and imposes brutal punishment on those caught practicing the faith. Christians are often subject to arrest, torture, imprisonment in labor camps, and even execution. Entire families can be punished if one member is found to be practicing Christianity. The North Korean government maintains strict surveillance over its citizens, and religious activities are closely monitored. There are no openly operating churches, except for a few state-controlled ones that serve as propaganda tools. Secret police actively seek out Christians, and possession of a Bible or religious materials can result in severe punishment. Christians who are discovered often end up in North Korea's notorious labor camps called Kwanliso, where they endure brutal conditions, forced labor, starvation, and torture. Many do not survive these camps, and those who do are often physically and mentally scarred for life. These camps are designed to break the spirit of prisoners, and Christians are treated with particular brutality due to their faith. The North Korean regime enforces a policy of fear and control over religious practice. Christians must keep their faith completely hidden, even from their closest family members, as children are often encouraged to report any suspicious behavior. The fear of being discovered creates an environment where Christians live in constant terror, unable to openly practice their religion or share it with others. The North Korean constitution nominally guarantees freedom of religion, but in practice, this right is non-existent. The government enforces a state ideology known as Juche, which promotes loyalty to the Kim dynasty above all else. Any religious belief, especially Christianity, is seen as incompatible with the regime's ideology and is ruthlessly suppressed. Despite the risks, some Christians in North Korea gather in secret house churches or worship alone in extreme secrecy. These underground networks are highly secretive, and members live in constant fear of being discovered. The lack of community and the intense isolation make practicing Christianity extraordinarily difficult. North Koreans who escape to China and convert to Christianity often face severe punishment if they are caught and repatriated. The government considers contact with Christians outside North Korea as treason, and returnees are subjected to harsh interrogations, torture, and imprisonment. The extreme levels of persecution, government control, and societal fear make North Korea one of the most dangerous places in the world to be a Christian. The oppressive regime's hostility towards Christianity forces believers to live in constant fear and secrecy, with devastating consequences if they are discovered.